Hey, Amy.
Hey, Mark. Just got a hotline call from a girl. She's 21 years old in South Carolina, been beaten up pretty badly. She's definitely ready for housing and ready for us to come pick her up.
All right, well, I'll let you know when I'm close, and you can text her to come out.
That'd be great.
All right, bye.
And a good morning to you. Welcome to Community Voices. I'm your host, Ron Holland. Joining me in the studio this morning is Mark Blackwell, founder of Justice Ministries, a 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to combating sex trafficking and sexual exploitation of women with a focus on rescue and housing. Mr. Blackwell, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Take us through a typical rescue. What does it actually entail?
For that night one situation, we get a hotline call. It goes directly to one of our female staff members. So they're getting a female voice on the other end of the line. Mm-hmm. First, we're doing immediate assessment of, okay, what's the situation? Can you get to another location nearby that we can find you? Are you stuck in the room where you're at? All these kind of things that are really critical to our action and our response. Sometimes, we'll get a call from a girl and her trafficker has stepped out for the evening or for a couple hours. So she's using that window. She's found our hotline and says, okay, now's the time I'm going to go for it. So at that point, we're trying to figure out, obviously, where she's at, what her situation is. Is it her or is it multiple girls? Does she have, one abuser or multiple, just all the factors that could be happening.
Most of the calls are like this. It's after dark. It's 10 p.m. and later. Some on into 2 and 3 a.m. In the morning. You just kind of got to drop what you're doing and go. Lord willing, you were able to sleep in that afternoon or not afternoon, but that morning. And so you're a little more rested if it's a really late night call. But either way, your adrenaline kind of kicks in and you kind of wake yourself up enough to go handle the situation. In the back here, I've got big 55-gallon trash bags and stuff. So, it's pretty common that when picking a girl up, I'll have to, help her get her belongings quickly as well. So I've gotten really good at moving people very fast. There are certain situations that are very imminent, and I'm like, okay, look, grab what you can carry, get to the car, we're getting out of here, I'm sorry, we got to go. If I feel like I have a little bit of a time window and she's got a bag or two, that's heavy, I'll help her grab that and, throw it in the truck and we'll go for it. It's not uncommon for us to arrive and the girl literally has just the clothes on her back.
And I've had situations where we get there, say if it's a hospital, she has a hospital gown and flip-flops. That's it.
We'll get some stuff together, get what we call a go bag for her, which is just kind of a backpack of essential items and feminine products and something you would need just for an overnight stay. A lot of times the situation gets pretty desperate when a girl's actually willing to call. And we've seen that as a common theme with a lot of the late night calls. When we get a call at 1 or 2 a.m., it's normally after her just getting beaten up, that evening, or maybe the guy threatened her and then left and said, when I'm coming back, I'm going to whip your butt or whatever. He used much uglier words, I'm sure. But so we want to capitalize on that window of opportunity, and that way when he shows back up, she's gone.
Essentially, our style is really based in confidentiality. Okay. We try to set it up where the trafficker will have no idea what happened. So the girl's communicating with us discreetly by whatever means necessary, text message, phone, even email. Mm-hmm. And then we're finding the best opportunity to get to her and get her out.
We'll arrive on site. We'll either call or text, and she'll step out. We'll swing by, pick her up, and then we get out of there. During that next 5 or 10 miles, we're just basically checking driving patterns and the taillights behind us. So traditionally just pick a route that has a lot of turns and kind of an odd way to go, just to ensure we're not being followed. One of the things we do require is we do take her phone, and we'll kind of break that down, take it out so it can't be tracked, because that's something that a lot of the traffickers will do. They'll put tracking devices on their cell phones, so we have to be aware of that, and any kind of electronics really can be rigged to be tracked if you're not careful.
To date, we've had about 240 relocation efforts combined. And the good report there is we've only had about 3 situations that were hostile. And I just praise God for that. That is a stat that doesn't make sense by the nature of what we're combating here. Yeah. But the Lord has just been good. And fortunately, all 3 of those, though they were very uncomfortable situations, it did not escalate past the point of, intense words and having to speak with an authoritative tone.
There was one time I remember, it was a really shady motel I was picking this girl up from, and it was actually in the middle of the day, which was rare. One of my rules when picking up a girl is just act like you belong there. You want to, don't look scared or don't look overly suspicious, just be casual. You're literally going to give somebody a ride. It's a pretty ordinary thing, so treat it as somewhat ordinary. But I just roll up and I park at this really sketchy motel where she was staying. I wasn't exactly sure what room, so I was gonna just kind of hang out for a little bit, assess the situation. So I was trying to be all like cool and quiet about it. I parked and this dude just like bust out of his door and like just cussing me out, like freaking out about me. Apparently it was his parking spot. So I have to like immediately, as soon as I see that, like I'm not playing, I'm already on high alert, I immediately just kind of go into authority mode and like just tell him to stop where he's at, let me see your hands, you know, identify yourself, you know. And he kind of, I think just me having that reaction kind of freaked him out. So he did, he immediately stopped and kind of put his hands up. Then I just tried to kind of be a nice guy about it. I was like, look man, you're in the middle of an operation, you're really stepping in it right now. Like, I'm not here for you at all, but I can make it about you. So I need you to just go back in your room. We're going to be out of here in 5 minutes. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. He went back inside. So, I mean, it's just like, okay, you know, but it's interesting. I've seen, you know, and I think it's true with bullies or whoever else. When you stand up to them or when you call them out on it, it can be really effective. We've had some horror stories where I roll up to a situation and literally, you know, that evening the guy had tried to choke her out. And she's got bruises on her face or whatever from the events of the evening. And, you know, so obviously we're highly motivated to get her out of that situation as quickly as possible.
These girls have a right to call us and say, I'm in a situation I do not like. I need a ride out. And at the very, you know, at the least that we're offering, it's a ride to get away. Yeah. And then from there, we offer immediate safe housing and then connections for long-term housing.